Hello, everyone. Today is Monday, the 28th of August, 2017. It is block height 482,392. This is Block Digest. I'm Chris Ellis, and I'm joined by my two guests, Shinobi.
Yola.
And Theo Goodman.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And in today's show, we're going to be discussing the latest gossip in Bitcoin, because we've decided to go all National Enquirer on you and just discuss like all the stuff that is completely irrelevant and very noisy and has nothing to do with science or data-driven development. Is that right, Shinobi?
Yes, we are going to dissect why people say the silly things they do on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea for a show. I think we're tapping into a great market. My Unfocused group over the weekend told me that if I just talk about like who is Gregory Maxwell's father? I heard it was Jeff Garzik. Is that true?
That's what I hear.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Yeah, we should do, like, I think there's a real gap in the market in the crypto scene for just like mindless gossip. Like they do those entertainment YouTube channels. We could really go viral with that. We could do like affiliate marketing. We could like, you know, really make it big. Stop doing news.
Yeah, where did Gregory Maxwell and Jeff Garzik, what beach did they go on vacation together at? Maybe, you know, somewhere in Spain or something. We can get some pictures, some inside information about, you know.
Yeah, telephoto lenses and like Slack channel orgies on cybering and shit. Like we need to get all the gossip. We should put.
I've got it. There's a new one. It's called Maxwell's Den. It's a new Slack channel I heard about, and there they plan the new flat Earth policies, how to integrate that into the core GitHub.
Is that the new Bitcoin Bohemian Grove?
Yeah, it is. They're doing sacrifices on the beaches of Spain during the summer with all of the money that they got from AXA insurance investments.
Okay, so I heard that the reason why certain pull requests get accepted and denied, like this one here is the first story of the day, is because it really depends on who's sleeping with who. I mean, who do you have to fuck around here to get a fucking merge put in to the code?
Well, I heard a complaint that you have to meet the people in person in order to be able to get a pulled. That, you know, this is all like an inside crew and they all know each other and all these people have met each other. And if you don't know the people, then you don't know how to do it right. And they will never, ever cooperate with you. I don't think that's a accurate, as far as I can tell, that's not accurate. But of course, there's going to be a group of people that know each other and their style of programming and stuff. But I don't think that's what's going on right here. What do you guys think?
Well, I want to know why. I want to know why Segwit 2x wasn't merged into the Bitcoin Core code. That's what I want to know. This happened 4 days ago. For some reason, Bitcoin Core Twitter tweeted it today. So I don't know, like, who's sucking who off here.
I don't think Jeff's pledged himself at the Greg Maxwell den yet.
I see. So it's all like dominatrix and like submission, and you have to kind of like bend the knee, and then you get your merge request put in.
I think we have to. Yeah, maybe we can find some of that in the code language in the code as to what needs to be done, you know, in real life. Maybe we can find that.
Sounds good. But Shinobi, in all seriousness, joking aside, why was it rejected, man?
Well, it's pretty much the same reason all of these things have been rejected. There is not consensus. I think it's pretty clear at this point now that we're seeing actual businesses who helped sign and organize the agreement, such as Bitwala, pull out. We're starting to see a lot of the big figures. I mean, even Barry Silbert was talking to Mad Bitcoins the other day on Twitter, literally screaming, "Give me an out. Like, give me an out. How do I pull out of this and keep the community together?"
Okay, is that paraphrasing or literally? Do you want me to go find that tweet for citation purposes? I mean,
I saw literally paraphrasing.
Well, Tom was asking him, and he did a poll on if anyone was kind of forced into signing the agreement, any of the people. And I think Barry kind of challenged Tom to go off and actually ask the businesses themselves, to which I saw an affirmative from Tom himself, and that'd be great. And if you guys want to help Tom do that and, you know, crowdsource and crowdfund that, I would be up for going through all the people that signed the New York agreement to make sure that they were absolutely copacetic with with this. Has there been any feature creep into the code base? Is it simply a 2 megabyte block size increase, or is there more to it than that?
It's mostly just the inclusion, obviously, of BIP91 and the different service bits on the network level. And aside from that, I think Garzik's plan is pretty much don't tinker with things so that he can hopefully just keep merging things from core.
But what about the surprises? I saw this one. Of course, I don't have it for quotation now, of course, but there was a tweet and it said, yeah, there's going to be, 2 megabits and this and that, and some new surprises. Just stay tuned. So we don't know if they're going to add master nodes or what their idea of surprises is. Do you know?
Could they be merging Chain Anchor? Does anybody remember Chain Anchor?
No.
Is that a timestamp thing, or what is that?
Ooh. No, this was the project out of MIT that Gavin Andreessen was tied to pretty much layer a KYC layer on top of the main chain and essentially economically incentivize miners to, over time, only include transactions that are tagging themselves with this KYC layer.
But there isn't anything like that in the Segwit 2x code, right? Like there isn't any kind of, nodes that join the network that are kind of fishing for your IP address or anything like that. There's no kind of funny business. This is simply a 2 megabyte increase.
Yeah, in all seriousness.
Okay. That's just fake news, which is the title of this show. It is all about fake news. And I want to draw attention to the fact the other day I did a competition. Very few people kind of like were paying, maybe you guys weren't paying attention. Only one person kind of responded. And I asked you, and I said I would give away $100 worth of Bitcoin. If somebody could give me an example of a decent journalist in this space. Carl Torpy was one answer I was going to accept. So congratulations to David Sterry for taking part in this. Another answer I would have accepted is Aaron Van Verdum, who I think I've met in person a couple of times when I've been around Europe and going to conferences and things. But these guys are absolutely excellent, and congratulations to David for getting that right. There are very few people in this space that do want to focus on the facts and the data and the science, and all I really heard over the weekend was just drama, and Twitter just kept pinging me, telling me that 7 people liked this tweet that had really nothing to do with reality. It wasn't interesting to me, and it was just people shouting at each other. Like that's all it was. And I got really tired of it. I got very frustrated. I started out putting out some satire on Twitter as satirical headlines. And, most of you got it. I think most of you understood where I was coming from. And that's really the only way I have of coping with this nonsense. But I really hope we can just stay focused as a community, just on the science and the engineering. And for those of you who maybe aren't technical, it's never a waste of time learning how to code. You will never waste any of your time looking, through the Git repos or looking at the comments in the code or doing some educational videos at Coursera. I think Andreas Antonopoulos has one as well. You can do online and distance learning course. In fact, you could pretty much like read Mastering Bitcoin and do all those things to learn about it. So everyone can take part. Ignorance is a choice in the age of information. And I'm going to bring up the ignorance in our next story, which is this Russia apparently is basically making it so that you noobs and people that are not into Bitcoin, so-called ordinary people, are not allowed to invest in Bitcoin. So I called you Satoshi Shinobi. Are you Satoshi? Oh shit! Did I give it away?
Or deny? I plead.
But you might well be, and I think I might have just given it away. I'm sorry about that. But do you want to quickly moving on before anyone notices? What's happening here? And then, because we're going to relate this to the SEC, they also made a statement, I understand. Why can't ordinary people get wrecked in these pyramid schemes? That's not fair. Well,
I mean, obviously, because the government's looking out for all our best interest. But I'm actually
they never get tired of looking out for us, do they? They're always awake and they're always looking out for us. They really care about us.
I mean, they spend billions of dollars wiretapping everything just to make sure we're doing okay, obviously. But honestly, though, I'm kind of surprised here with this because, to be honest, I would have expected this kind of move in the U.S. first, with how the SEC's kind of been coiling up to the strike with the whole ICO situation. But Russia is pretty much going to define Bitcoin as a currency, but regulate it as another financial asset, and essentially set up regulations for any exchange or business that can facilitate trading, where you essentially have to pretty much qualify yourself or be certified as a competent trader, similar to how you have to in registered markets in most places in the world. And not to cast any stereotypes Russia's way, but this just screams to me like people in Russia's government trying to set up walls to prevent all the common people in the country from being able to invest or benefit from this technology, and essentially kind of keep the entire slice of the pie in Russia for themselves.
Yeah. And also the SEC as well, who I'll point out are using Owly for their social media outreach. And that's like really 2010. But they're tracking you. This is a trackable link, just so you're all aware on this tweet that I posted in the description, where you can follow all of our stories. And we had a similar announcement from the SEC at the same time. For example, pump and dump schemes, quoting, involve the effort to manipulate a stock share price or trading volume by touting the company's stock through false and misleading statements to the market. I mean, these pump and dumps, I'm amazed it's taken them this long to even comment on it.
I think that they have definitely commented on pump and dumps. This is okay. Public companies making ICO related claims. So this is not as we're thinking of it. What's going on is, imagine that you are a penny stock, and then how do you capitalize on the crypto craze? Well, you announce you're doing an ICO too, and then the price of the penny stock pumps. So that's kind of like what, basically penny stocks or small cap, whatever you want to call it, are using the word ICO and launching ICOs, or they're going to launch as their version of a Microsoft Azure pump.
Well, I'd like to note something I just realized here, throwing the link in the box for you, Chris, but they apparently missed one if they were trying to go around and round up companies using ICOs to pump their normal stocks. There is Tomahawk LLC. It's a natural gas company, I believe somewhere in Texas. It's been like a week or two since I saw this, but one slipped under the radar.
Wow, this looks, hey, when is this going to be on Trex? This looks really pumpable.
Yeah, don't do that. This is not a financial endorsement. We are not financial advisors. This is not this. This
that was just total satire. No, but I don't think that was a next level comment. I'm sorry, but on the picture,
level 2,
really pumpable. Did you see what was on the website?
I did get it, Theo. That was good. That was a good gag.
Okay.
Just a tough crowd here on the panel. That's all it was. You see, sharpen up. Do you write your own material, or did you have somebody there with you giving you?
No, that was just on the fly. That was just,
That's great work. Okay, so they're only targeting ICOs. They're not targeting all the shitcoins on Poloniex. They're okay. Because I've heard them comment on stuff like the flash crashes and things. I just never really heard them before, like commenting on the pump and dumps. But I should point out.
I don't know. Maybe they've commented on pump and dumps in just penny stocks or low cap stocks themselves. Yeah. I'm sure that's happened before, because that's been a thing for a while. But of course, now maybe the craze is coming back, and so they think they need to protect people. That's what their perception is. And that's why I think there's going to be a big influx of people. If they're starting to give out warnings, it's also advertisements for people that something is going on that's interesting. Want to check it out.
Yeah, I've certainly seen an increase in people coming to me and asking me, should they set up an ICO? In fact, I just had dinner with somebody, and all they kept asking me was like, how do they get rich quick? And it was kind of made in jest, but also kind of not really. Like the people people feel like they've missed out, and they meet a Bitcoiner who's been in it for a while, and they think, oh, and that envy kind of sort of starts to kick in, and they wonder like, oh, I could have bought it at like $1,000, but I just didn't. I don't know why. I just wasn't paying attention. And they think about what, you know, as if what their lost opportunity is a real material loss, like they've lost money because they weren't paying attention or something. And now they want to know, is it too late? Can I still get in? And I think the reason why we've seen an influx of interest on these YouTube channels and these chat rooms is for exactly the same reason. And I think a lot of these ICOs, I didn't see it coming, but I think a lot of these ICOs are capitalizing on that. They want to be the next round of shitcoins. And the difference between a regular altcoin, like in the old days where we had like Feathercoin and Barbecue Coin and Dogecoin, all those those kind of projects, is that, well, a lot of the time, you know, they were well-meaning. You know, people set them up and they had a purpose and they existed for a specific reason. But if people left, it wasn't like the code disappeared. It wasn't like the miners stopped mining the coin. All those coins that I just mentioned, I think with the exception of Barbecue Coin, still exist. Whereas with an ICO, basically you're just giving your money away to a group of people in what is essentially a multi-sig wallet. I mean, the smart contract is as simple as that. And they can just walk away. There are no miners, there's no community, there's nothing, there's no code that you can kind of fall back on and still go back and work on. And that's my fear with these ICOs, is that people kind of come in, they think that this is going to be like the 3.0 and they can get on the next wave, and then they invest in these things. That the people that perform these ICOs kind of walk away or kind of let it die down, and everyone forgets about it, and then we all, you know, they all get wrecked. So that's my fear anyway. Don't know if anybody wants to come in with some closing thoughts before we move on.
Yeah, I think that is a very big worry. I mean, if you look at history, it's riddled with Ponzi schemes that just grew to insane proportions. I mean, the South Seashore Company in England, when the ancestors to modern financial markets were first starting to go. You have Albania in the 90s. The entire country pretty much collapsed almost due to just MLM scams. You have the Bernie Madoff and Enron. They just get big. And as long as the people involved in pitching them keep that smooth talk, that nice face, that smile and confidence, people just keep coming in until when they reach in, there's no more money.
Yeah, absolutely. So should we go to the real news segment of the show now? Or should we just keep giving fake news? Should we just keep talking about stuff that it's not really
fake
important?
News is fun.
The fake news is a lot of fun, and it gets views and it gets hits. And that's great for our sponsors and our advertising budget and our growth metrics.
Do we need to add in the yell at each other moment to get views too? That we all accuse each other of scamming and I don't know, just yell at each other for no reason.
Yeah, we can just like be argumentative and like ad hominems and red herrings and false dichotomies. I mean, I can do No True Scotsman as well. I can do a really, really good one later on. But for now, let's just focus on some real shit. Okay, Satoshi, you noticed that there was like this kind of vulnerability that was posted by Jay Coiner on our Bitcoin. Do you want to explain to the guests like how this exploit can take place?
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting idea on how to pull a spam attack in a much more sophisticated way. Because essentially what we've been seeing up until now has, like, we had the one instance, I believe it was coinwallet.eu or something along those lines, that just gave out the private keys for a number of dust inputs. And then just the like spam in the mempool with normal transactions for small amounts being put in there. And obviously the assumption is that miners are mining their own spam transactions so that they're not getting stuck paying those fees. But this attack is essentially, instead of the target just being putting a transaction in the mempool, the idea is you take very small amounts, like a single Satoshi or a few Satoshis, and just start peppering addresses with them. And essentially, wallets in this ecosystem suck right now, even the best of them. And there's a lot out there without very advanced or streamlined coin selection algorithms. So a lot of these wallets, when you go to spend a coin, that's all automated. You don't manually pick any of the inputs, and it'll just grab these very small inputs of a Satoshi or something and put those in your transaction. Well, see, the interesting thing with the transaction structure, it's actually a big part of what Segwit solved is the signature being tied to the input makes the input disproportionately larger than the output of a transaction. So for the miner, going off this person's numbers, spending these transactions, he's essentially looking at 34 bytes of data per output of a single Satoshi or a small amount. But the person who would end up spending that is looking at 148 bytes around there as far as the size of that input with the signature. So for each one of these wallets, the miner is spending approximately 340 Satoshis to send that output to it. And that wallet is going to end up spending 44,000 Satoshis to spend that output. And one of the things this guy, Jay Coiner, did is actually look back at the historical data in his database, which went up to June 2016 from the Genesis block, and found that 68% of all of the small outputs that he's found recorded actually end up being spent. So you have 300 Satoshis to send these outputs. And when the wallet that has a bad coin selection algorithm spends them, 44,000 Satoshis in fee income. And if you have 68% of those actually being spent by those wallets, that's a pretty big profit margin and a pretty big leg up from just your typical flood the mempool to try to drive fees up.
But what does it all mean in reality?
It means that somebody, I can't say for certain, but I'd say likely miners are getting much more sophisticated in the ways that they can game the network and try to suck out as much fee revenue as possible.
But at the moment, they're working perfectly well within the bounds of the code and the incentive structure. This isn't anything that's like illegal in quotes. They're just basically finding flaws in the system, or exploits, I should say, ways of maximizing their utility.
Yeah, exactly. This is nothing that in any way is forbidden or prevented by the system. It's just one of those fringe cases people really didn't think of, didn't follow the game theory through to the end. And here's another thing they can do to kind of put the pain on everybody as far as fees for transactions go. And I think it's kind of ironic that we see this. And there's actually a link, I believe I provided with that, of an address that has transactions in this format. It was only 2 weeks ago. So this sophistication in spam attacks is pretty close to Segwit activation, and I don't think that's entirely coincidental.
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit for me. I don't know about Theo, if you guys come
a little bit. Yeah. The timing of all this is pretty weird. I mean, it's conspiracy theory in the sense that we don't have a way to prove it, but you know, some of these things stopping as soon as the 2x agreement happened, and then you know, just as soon as Segwit happens, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of congestion and people shouting, "Oh, look, Segwit, now it's not working." You know, it's just, I don't know, it just seems a little bit like a little too weird. But hey, but like we said, we're not complaining about our favorite blockchain that should be strong enough to survive any kind of gaming and attack, and it is. It's just a matter of what could be done. I guess that maybe you could have wallets that help users with these better, and people just need to understand what's going on more, so that they can you know, maybe isolate. I think what was it? Electrum allows you to isolate addresses, and that can help a little bit. But there's no wallet that's going to really totally eliminate the issue that's caused by this so-called attack.
And speaking of attacks, is this fake news? North Korea are targeting Bitcoin exchanges. Is this true?
I don't know, but that gets a lot of clicks, so it could be real fake news. Yeah. Now, if you do North Korea, Trump, fascist, anti-fascist, you'll get a lot of clicks. Just combine that and Bitcoin, and then ICO, Bitcoin, then you'll get a whole bunch of clicks. So if North Korea targets Bitcoin, North Korea targets ICO, then that would all and it could it could be true. Why not? I mean, that makes sense for any country with currency issues or trade issues to get Bitcoin and, you know, use regulatory arbitrage to get around a lot of the regulations. I mean, that can go for anybody, whether you think they're doing good or evil. So why not do it? I mean, if you're their government, right?
Right. Well, actually, I found that the write-up in the Merkel was actually quite good, a lot better than the other links. We got 2 links for you in the description about this. And I'm aware that I've seen reports that North Korea has an extremely good and efficient hacking team. They're very technically proficient. They understand where the world is going in terms of technology. And technology, I think, throughout history has always been a big driver of technology, which in turn has driven social change. And as a result, what we're getting is a lot of this kind of propaganda in the news that's sort of anti-North Korea. And here we have in this article, Korea University professor Lim Jong-un said that the exchange hack may be one way that North Korea is looking to obtain more money in a somewhat hidden manner. Successful hacks of exchanges could be a nice revenue influx for the beleaguered nation. And when I read this, what I read is like, okay, a journalist was contacted, there was a story, there was a press release put out, and, you know, journalists want quotes and they get these quotes, but what comes with them all the time is like just these kind of like ad hominems. Like, I don't see how relevant it is to like start, you know, calling names for like putting down a particular nation state. I just feel like if you've got some evidence, could you just please produce it and show us like, you know, this is how the hack happened, and deconstruct it rather than just these kind of high level statements and headlines.
I mean, I agree with you 100%, but circumstantially, I think there's a lot here to really kind of lift this out of the fake news category. I mean, this information is a little dated by a couple years, but last time I read about North Korea's revenue streams, one of their biggest streams of revenue is actually counterfeiting $100 American bills. So, like, I mean, a country, like a whole other nation, literally counterfeits US dollars as a huge part of their income. And I don't really think it's too unreasonable for them to start looking into things like Bitcoin. It doesn't come with the physical costs. Obviously, you need to get the paper or find other lower denomination bills, scrub them, wash them, print them. You have the transport logistics and cost of moving that around and actually getting resources from it. Whereas with Bitcoin, you just need a computer, somebody capable of stealing it, and you can take that anywhere.
So North Korea could do an ICO because they can't forge the Bitcoins. How are they going to do that? They just have to steal them when they can. But I think North Korea could do an ICO. I think they could really put that, be pumpable. When would that get listed on Bittrex?
ICO,
Goodman, I ask you.
Missile system.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of analogies here. We've got oil pump ICOs and we've got missile ICOs going to the moon. You know, there's a lot of, you know, symbolic things that could go on that could really use for marketing in that sense, you know. But I mean, if Estonia can do an ICO for citizen or not citizenship passport token, not non-residential, non-passport.
Just give them your biometrics and shut up, Theo. Just
right.
give them all your data, give them your DNA, give them your thumbprint.
Why can't North Korea do that? North Korea could do the exact same thing.
I give them my biometrics.
I mean,
they can have my DNA, no problem.
Yeah, but what kind of cool thing that would be? What about, I mean, at the party you have this like thing that looks like a North Korean passport with your picture. I mean, and you can say it's like on a blockchain or something. I mean, that's cool, you know?
I mean, when I show up to my dinner parties, I can just like whip out the North Korean passport and be like, here's my e-residency to North Korea. I
right, e-residency. I like that. E-residency to North Korea. That's great.
E-residency to North Korea. Think about hot desking and stuff. Like you just work on your laptop, you'd be chilled.
Yeah.
In the gulag.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if something crazy like that happens. Who knows? I mean, you know, like we said, we saw the Estonia thing, and if they're hacking exchanges and it's working, then why not do an ICO?
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the tweet earlier on that Shinobi was referring to. Mad Bitcoins asked, do you think Barry Silbert forced the DCG companies to sign NYA, the NYA agreement, the digital currency group, for those of you who don't know? And they did a poll, and then Barry got involved. And basically, Barry's like, here's an idea. Why didn't you ask all of the companies that signed whether or not they were forced? And Tom basically thanked him, and maybe, I don't know if this was like, he's definitely going to go off and do the project, but I think if he is, we should all support him in that. That would be some good investigative journalism that I think could do with a good deal of exposure. Also running with this hashtag no2x, so you can do your virtue signaling if you want to, and signal your disapproval for the 2x project. And I guess we can go over to the troll box as well and take a look at what's going on over there. Anybody got some comments? All right. So dual US North Korea citizenship, that would, yes, be interesting and certainly something to dine out on. Fake news, nuclear tension, they just wanted you to be frightened. Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? Maybe not. You're all young. Yeah, we are kind of, I'm not that young. I'm not getting any younger. I feel like Bitcoin has aged me. It's taken my life away.
I know the feeling.
Like a week feels like a month in this space. All right. Okay. Miners are getting, Agatha says, miners are getting smarter in breaking it. The blockchain is like throwing a dice and betting for number 6. But miners these days have learned how to throw the dice faster than others for no reason. They wanted to profit. I think just a lot of miners didn't realize that actually it's a zero-sum game. And in order to be profitable, you need to be more industrious than other people and more efficient and get cheaper energy than everybody else. I think that probably wasn't taken into account by a lot of people that bought miners. I think you would have been better off just buying the Bitcoins. But when you looked at like the Google Trend data, certainly, people were, when they were looking up Bitcoin, they were actually looking up, how to get into mining. It was always Bitcoin mining was the keyword combination.
What's the promise of free money? Who's not going to look into that?
I think it goes back to like the old like online scam, like make money from home, or how this woman made $3,000 a month from Google, and she's like holding up a check, and you can do it too, and all these kind of scams. And they see like Bitcoin mining, and they think, oh, I can just like buy a computer and maybe just like leave it in my office. I've got free electricity, and they can just kind of come back, and suddenly there's like all this free money in their account, and they can just leave it going. And I think there's a certain lifestyle that just appeals to people where they don't have to turn up to a job every day and answer to a boss. They can just like do some like computation and just manage and be like this passive IT manager, and just kind of like have this passive income turning up and just live a nice life. But certainly I think over the last few years you would have been better off just buying the Bitcoin rather than buying the mining equipment. Any final thoughts from the panel?
You've got me wondering if the initial mining rush maybe had more to do with the excitement of having a robot slave.
To do with what, sorry?
The excitement of having a robot slave working for you.
That's exactly what it is. They basically just wanted to, I mean, I was doing mining like cryptocurrencies in the early days, all of which I lost in a tragic boating accident, I might add. But basically, if a lot of people, and I don't think Satoshi really realized this, had access to free energy. They had access to like, they had some contract with a shared office space, and you just pay like, so much per month. And that's like a fixed rental cost, and everything is included. And they could just leave, if you work in a studio and you had loads of computers at a university or something like this, you could just leave the computers mining for a long time. And I think a lot of people did that early on. But anyone who just came in from the outside that was just like Googling Bitcoin mining, and maybe you like try to order your miner off of Butterfly Labs, just totally got wrecked. I think really you have to be very industrious nowadays to make money from mining.
Yeah, I gave a go at it after I got in the space on the way down from the Gox bubble. And only reason that turned a profit is the price going down and less competition the whole way. Just right place, right time.
Absolutely. So I say to you, David Sterry, if you want to claim your prize, give us your Bitcoin address and we'll send those Bitcoins your way. And always looking for people in this space that are reporting on the things that really matter. Yes, we are like in a post-SEO society, as I like to call it. And we like to do the, you know, the really satirical clickbaity headlines. But once you're here, we like to try and get you the real news. But we can do that with your help. And remember that you're not just a passive observer at home. You are on the front line. And you can also deliver the news. You can come on the show with us. You can talk about what you know and what you've learned and share your experiences with other people. So this has been Block Digest, episode number 10. We're more than 2 weeks old now. And we really appreciate the 55 of you that have stayed with us throughout the show. And I will just say, if you do like what you see, you can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the like button. You can also share it. But remember, only if you want to. See you next time. Bye-bye.